Good morning. Good morning. Welcome, everybody, to a rainy, cloudy day here in Tom's River on Thursday, May 7th. And I'm Phil Brilliant. This is Simply Brilliant. And when will start off by telling you I'm very tired. Got in late last night, but there is nothing better to pick you up when you're feeling a little down than to get together with friends. And last night had the great opportunity of getting together with like my high school friends at if you follow me at all on social media, you see us together more often than not, sometimes once a quarter, and then we do a trip every so often. And these are guys really from the hood. These are guys back from Franklin. Um, Most of them have been together for 50 years, if not more. And just good. Get into New York City. There were some Knick fans, so they were watching the game on the phone and dinner, but a lot of laughs. My face always hurts the next day. And these are the guys who you'll go to war for, and they'll go to war for you. And just always good because it kind of, I'd like to say it gives me renewed energy, but man, I'm tired this morning. Just getting back late night is just not the same as it used to be, when I was 20 years younger. So there will be a decent amount of coffee in my life today. I will tell you that much. So let me turn my phone off. Okay, I want to hit two things, and then we're going to go on our merry way this morning. One is I want to just highlight a couple things. And I think it's important because next Wednesday, May 13th, is the next Tom's River Council meeting, at which time a budget hearing will be held, and that's important. I think it's important that we realize that budget hearings are the opportunity for the township residents and the council to look at the budget. Because remember, the mayor and his administration, his office, put together the budget with his CFO, his business administrator, and he has a couple of them right now. And then they submit it to council. It's done by name only last month. And now they come in and they ask the questions. I'm not sure who presents it. First year it was Jonathan Solanas. The second year it was Jerry Conti, the auditor. We'll find out next Wednesday night who decides to present for Mayor Roderick this year. But I'm going to share my screen because there's a couple things I'm going to point out because I think it's important. And for those of you who don't know, this is available on the township's website. It's nothing top secret, but this is the budget and what it looks like. It's pretty municipal budget. There should be a user-friendly version of the budget that should go up because that's required by the state, and it should go up there excuse me, before Wednesday night. I believe that is the requirement. So hopefully we'll see that soon. But I just want to point out a few things. I think it's important as residents of Tom's River that we realize these things. And I want you to, so you see this document in front of me here. This is the actual budget. What I want to use is I want to use a tool that I put together, that we put together, it wasn't all me. And this is kind of a summary, but the interesting part is it kind of reflects back and gives you a picture as to what we've seen over the years. And that's important because, you know, when you don't spend money in a year, it goes into a surplus. And remember in 2024, when Daniel Roderick came in, he cleaned house. There's a lot of positions that are still not filled there in town hall, throughout Toms River Township. There are contracts that are still not renewed, and these are union contracts. Let it be for police, let it be for DPW, let it be for white and blue collar workers for Toms River Township. So these are all things that are still lingering out there because they haven't, gotten their day, as we might want to say, in front of the mayor and get finalized yet. Still out there, But you look. So this is 2022. This is 2023. This is first year of Daniel Roddick 2024 5. And then this is what was introduced the other day. This is the budgets. This is what's proposed. Excuse me. This is what's proposed, and you can see, and remember, surplus anticipated to be spent as revenue. So that's the other thing too, is there's a difference when somebody says, I have $60 million in surplus. Well, that's fine and dandy. It's money that hasn't been spent, but how much of that are you pulling to use into the budget? What are you doing with that quote unquote rainy day fund? And also, how are you offsetting my taxes? And remember, the Mayor Roderick has said he's proposed this budget with a no tax increase. And you'll see that in here, but he is pulling $17 million from the surplus, which is the second most he has pulled since he pulled 20 million back in his first year of 2024. The interesting part to me, though, is we've talked about last year. He said spending was down anywhere between $7 to $11 million, depending on which meeting it was. And you can see here, $142 million is what the budget is. That is higher than Mayor Hill's last year. It is almost identical to Dan Roderick's first year, but it's $9 million higher than just 4 years ago. So with increasing revenue, you're also increasing spending. But let's look at the revenue first, and I think it's important. So if you and I apologize, this is tough, probably tough to see on the screen. I'll try to blow it up a little, but I don't want it to be too much because then it gets too discombobulated. But you'll look here. Let's go to the top. This is adopted. These are actual. So here's what was adopted. Here's actual. Here's adopted. Here's actual. So let's just take a look right here. I want to get this. Okay. So you can see that, surplus wise actually used $20 million, adopted actual. So where you're looking to be. When you look at this, you wonder like how the money is being moved around. You know, is it anything that's, not right? Most of this gets audited, if not all of it gets audited, and then it goes to the state. And when it comes to budgets, they're pretty vanilla. But keep in mind, a budget is kind of like you saying, I'm gonna go spend $10,000 this year on my kid's vacation, and you spend $15,000. You need to find the money at the end of the day, even though you budgeted 10 million or 10,000. So now let's look at some expenses. And this is where it gets a little interesting. And I have a problem. And I'm hoping the council has a problem and that they talk about this coming week. So I'm just going to use 2025 because it's easier. But, look at this right here. Administration adopted 390, spent 325, introduced $13 million. And you're like, holy crap, he's hiring all these people. No, he's not hiring all these people. What he did, and I will personally tell you, I don't like it. And if you go back in time and you look, it's never been done before, at least back until 2023. I'm covering some cells here. I think I can go back to 2020. So what you're actually seeing is if you go down this list, here's information technology, zero. It's put up here into the total. Purchasing, zero. It's so all of these numbers that were normally broken out are now thrown into this gross number under administration. So you really don't know what you're spending on salaries and people in all these departments. And you can go down the list. I tried to make notes so you can see it. Right here. Here's Department of Recreation. Last year, proposed 990,000, spent 1.1 million, and now you have a zero. Okay. But we know this number is somewhere in this $13 million number, but why? And one of the reasons you would do something like this is that you really don't know. And as opposed to trying to allocate numbers, why don't I just bunch it all together and I'll figure it out later? If I'm counsel, I want to know these numbers. I want to see it. I want a clear understanding of who's getting paid, what they're getting paid, and why they're getting paid. And here's the other thing too: is Dan Roderick talks about his healthcare. His healthcare, he saved $4 million. I saved $4 million. I saved $4 million. So let's look real quick at that. Health insurance in 2024, it was 19. You can go back one more year about that. Here, last year, the Mo Hill administration, uh, their budget was 17 million. They spent 14 million. First year of Dan Roderick, adopted 19 million they're going to spend. They spent 14 million. So he saved, it looks like $5 million of budgeted money he saved. Okay. But now let's look at last year. He proposed 17 million. So he actually went up $3 million from what he had spent. And he spent an extra million on top of it. So now you're going to budget 19 million. Healthcare costs are going up every day. We all know that. So by coming out and saying I'm saving you $4 million, you just tell the truth. You're not saving $4 million. And you look right here and you're going to see proposed at 19 million. And if you go back to 2024, that's exactly what was proposed in 2024. So there's really no savings there that we're going to see. I have problems with bunching all those expenses together. Hopefully, things will come out of it. It's interesting. Here's animal control. There's nothing allocated to animal control as salaries and wages. So I guess we're going to continue to subcontract that out. And it's actual at 75 from this past year, but proposing 175, $100,000 increase. I would ask why. Why is there an increase there? And there's some other things like municipal clerk. Why is that going up $100,000 from the actual from this past year? This is the way you should look at the budget. This is what you should question. End of the day, it's our tax dollars that we want to be concerned with. And here's another one. I mean, here's division of park buildings and grounds. Everybody's complaining about garbage. They just got a grant for about $270,000 of garbage cleanup, but there's no manpower, salaries, wages here. We know this number is somewhere in that big number on top. We just don't know how much it is. To me, this is being, I'm going to try to say the word nefarious, not being upfront. I think you need to be upfront, and I think you need to fix and do the right thing on these numbers. So that's the one thing I want to talk about on budget. The other thing I want to bring up, and again, this isn't available. This is available on the township website under the tab finance. Go look at it. Educate yourself. You really should. But I want to show you also, and I'm not sure I'm going to be able to, can I drag this whole thing over? Let's see what happens. We'll go one at a time. So this is one. So this is the asbestos abatement work plan that was submitted to the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection by Toms River Township. This is, it appears to be revised in February. Remember, all we keep hearing is there's nothing to worry about here, but then we hear there's going to be 6 inches removed. What I want you to take out of this report is this. This work plan includes the abatement of remaining previously identified asbestos-containing material and remaining asbestos-containing material debris, as well as controlled demolition associated with the remaining residential structure basements, because the basements are still there on site. This is these are samples collected by Department of Health and everybody. And here's the key, okay? There is contaminated material throughout the site. There you go. No summary, no sugarcoating it. It is what it is. So to say that there's nothing out there, nothing to worry about, nothing to look at, that is not right. So this proposal was sent off to the state of New Jersey to get approved. Okay. And then from this proposal, I'm kind of going through vastly, there's a good word for you. A proposal was brought in to do the work. And I just want to show you the last page here is a figure of what this looks like, because now there's a fence around it. And if you look at the key, demarcation work area of commingled debris soil removal at 6 inches. So 6 inches here, 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 here is where I guess hotspot removal is going to be, and they're going to remove the basements and everything. This is what we're looking at as far as the site goes. But I want to show you, they got a bunch of proposals to do this work. So here's a proposal from a contractor. Here's Lurch out of Wall Township. And let's see, this is $177,000. Here is Brick Industries. This looks to be $396,000. And then here's AWT, and it is my understanding they're the ones who have been hired, and they are about $94,000 to go do the work. And again, they're going to be, estimated 200 tons of soil to be removed, exposed, demolished, their foundations, another 300 tons. I say 300 tons. This is what the fill material coming in. That's how you get your $94,000. So this, by the way, is ongoing as we speak. It's my understanding that this work is underway. I have not been out there, but again, I'm not the contractor. And again, let people do their work. And at the end of the day, a report will have to be provided, and hopefully everything is done right. And we don't have the same thing that happened last time. But the key here is there is remediation going on at Clifton Avenue Park. It is costing the Toms River taxpayers money. It looks like it's somewhere between $100,000 and $300,000. Don't be fooled. It is costing Toms River money for the mistakes that were made of this administration, because they always think they know what they're doing, and they always think they know best. And they put people in harm's way, and now the work is getting done to be corrected because residents spoke up and they were upset and concerned as to what was happening. I'm Phil Brilliant. This is Simply Brilliant. Remember to tune in this Sunday morning at 9 o'clock on Beach Radio. As my guest on Simply Brilliant will be Marina Papanikolaou, the CEO of the Greater Toms River Chamber of Commerce. We'll be talking about everything to do with Toms River businesses, but we'll also be wishing you all a very happy Mother's Day. Be well, stay well, and I'll see you soon.